final scene of The Exorcist. See someone coming up behind me, let me know. I'm scared. We're now standing at the top of Rosemary Alley. If you're standing this side of me, you may be able to see the wooden nameplates on the wall bearing out the legend. Rosemary Alley, it conjures up lovely images, doesn't it? An English country garden, neat oldie-woldy, home cooking aromatherapy. And indeed the site bears it out. Jettied Tudor buildings on either side, little sets of steps, sensitive lighting cascading down to the riverway which lies beyond. But it wasn't always the case, because in the 18th century this was called Piss Pot Alley. The reason being it was an open running sewer, a disgusting sea of effluents full of tapeworms, maggots and Gareth Gates CD singles. You can see why they changed the name, but I must say I'd love to see it on a map of Guildford today. Millbrook, Quarry Street, Piss Pot Alley. As I enter the buildings on either side are Tudor, but the facades to both are Georgian. And for many years, both these buildings were haunted by a lady in white. Who she is, we have no idea, but maybe it's our lady in grey from Tunsgate who's done the Dad's Doorstep Challenge. The cleaner refused to work in one of the buildings at night until the ghost was finally exorcised, which she was. Which building, I'm not sure, but I've been inclined to think it was this one, as number 6 here is still haunted. The last occurrence being in 1995, when workmen carrying out subsidence repairs found a hot spot on the ground floor. A single floorboard was found to be too hot to stand on, yet the floorboards either side of it, above and below, were always found to be perfectly cool. At the bottom of these steps is the YVONNE Arnaud Theatre. The YVONNE Arnaud is named after the actress and pianist YVONNE Arnaud, who died in Guildford in 1958. What fewer people know is that it's built on the site of Guildford's 16th century ducking stool. And the YVONNE Arnaud has a ghost too. In the 1980s, the front of house manager at the YVONNE Arnaud was a man called Jonty, and Jonty was rather possessed, shall we say. He'd been to see a fortune teller who'd rather unprofessionally told him he would die before he reached his 40th birthday. As Jonty was 39 years, 11 months and 2 weeks, he was getting rather concerned. So as his 40th birthday drew near, oh, it's parting of the waves. Excellent. He has no idea what's going on. Quick, knock the car over! Weird. So as Jonty's 40th birthday drew near, so sure was he wouldn't be alive to see the day in question, he held his 40th birthday party 2 weeks early. The birthday party came and went, all was fine. Jonty's 40th birthday came and went, all was fine. And then 2 weeks later, he suddenly keeled over and died. Immediately after his death, the new front of house manager used to hear padding footsteps behind him backstage when he was locking up the building at night. And after a short amount of time, he started to hear the rattling of padlocks and chains from doors he'd only just locked. This still sometimes continues to this day, and some people think this is Jonty, locking up the building as he did on the last night of his life. Next door to the YVONNE Arnaud is the Mill Studio Theatre. I'm just moving this. The mill was originally built in 1649, rebuilt in brick in 1770, and in the early 1800s had a very dark few years. One moment. We're here all night. As I mentioned, the mill was originally built in 1649, rebuilt in brick in 1770, and in the early 1800s had a very dark few years. Between 1810 and 1811, no less than 3 millers committed suicide in the mill by hanging themselves from beams there. In 1813, an apprentice miller was killed when his clothing was caught by the machinery and he was dragged in after it. And the following year, the miller himself, Joseph Burt, was killed the same way. When tipping ice off the cogs in the middle of winter, the machinery suddenly started up again and mashed him up really bad. 5 deaths in the space of 4 years. Some would say this would contribute to the odd feeling many people have in the mill. A feeling of not being welcome, a feeling of being watched, a feeling of overwhelming malevolence. Some people have had these feelings when they've not been watching an amateur show. I have some friends who were working in the mill in 1996. They were on the first floor in the dressing rooms when they heard the sound of banging coming from overhead. This then passed over the entire length of the building. The footfalls being so stamping as it passed over them, it caused dust to fall between the floorboards onto their heads. And there's a legend connected with the mill as well that says that dogs refuse to enter the building. So gentlemen, Jordan will never be performing in Guildford. Now, we've made it through the dark castle grounds and now have to make it through a dark and spooky churchyard.